Congratulations on getting to your first home.
Thank you, Shae. Very much appreciated it. I do have one question in regards to when it comes to cars. If you were to use the equity of your home to purchase a car, is that possible?
It is possible. So you're getting into a very low sort of price point of 600,000.
Yeah.
Okay. In Whitby, houses selling for 7 to 750 as of today.
Mm-hmm.
In 12 months, we expect it to be much more.
Mm-hmm.
Oxford Economics believe it's going to be going up 15%.
How did you guys find such a affordable package when it comes to the competitors?
So going back to that, once you're just in the first thing, once the house increases, we can get a valuation once it's built, establish how much equity is in there. If you have the right equity, we may be able to refinance it up and then move the funds over to pay for a car. If you buy a 40 grand car, it's probably going to be about $60 a week on a mortgage, because over 30 years at about 6-7%. Okay, that's why it becomes affordable if you're looking to do that.
Yeah.
But your second question was?
How did you guys find such an affordable package compared to the competitors?
The key thing is being a builder broker. So what I can do is I can shop all the builders and find the best price if that's what your focus is. Yeah, your budget is a little bit low. We made it work. But what we're trying to do is it needs to be price conscious. If we're looking at 600,000, the average house price is about 950 now. So we're well below the average house price for a family home.
Yeah.
So what we do is we look at wholesale areas for the land, because there's two components, land and house. We look for wholesale price in the land, and then we look for the most competitive price. But we're also looking for price, quality, speed, service.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what we do as a builder broker is we can shop all the builders. And in this particular situation, we needed a sharp price. We were able to go to this particular builder to make the package work. So it's the key thing is builder broking. We're able to shop the builders to make sure it's the price point you need.
Wow. Thank you so much for the good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Even the equity, see, for being alone to get the property by himself, that's not possible, right? So
that's a good point. See, finance and the finance game plan is so important. You walk into a bank, you get declined, right? Well, what we worked out, you're on a 50 grand base, you had 20 grand overtime, 20 grand commission from selling cars, you're on 70 grand. But what you told me tonight is you're going to rent it out. At that point, we've got $600 a week or 30 grand, you're now on $100,000 a year. Because we've gone 70 grand of your income, 30 grand rent, we're at 100 grand. You now qualify if you have the deposit. Yeah, you don't have the deposit, but you've got a guarantor, an unencumbered mortgage, unencumbered home. So a house without a mortgage, you need more than half of your house paid off. At that point, we've established the deposit because you're going guarantor. So that's how we, as a family, you've been able to make it work. Luckily, you've got a good family, and you're going guarantor, which is great. And that way, you can get into the market, and it's called rent investing.
Yeah, rent investing when he get enough equity again. When the housing price goes up, you can go for the next one again, right? When he get enough equity.
So that's a good point. If when your house goes up 10%, you can release the guarantor. Ideally 20%, but you can release the guarantor at 10%.
Yeah.
So what we do is once it's built, we get an upfront valuation. Hopefully it's 660. We believe it is because we looked at Whitby now, and a 3x2 is selling for 660 as of today. We still need to wait 6 months for titles.
Yeah.
So that land will go up. Then we've got 12-month build. So we're a year and a half away. It would definitely be, if it's 660 today, it would be much more than 660 in a year and a half. So at that point, if we're up 10%, which we will be, I can tell because everything has been up 10%. Every single client I've helped since COVID has been up minimum 10% from a conservative bank valuation. Once it's up more than 10%, we can release the guarantor for free with the brokers. So that's the way we sort of do that.
So even in just in my case, even though I'm a guarantor now, if I want to buy my own property using equity, I can still use it, right?
Yeah, that's a similar situation. So we can look we need to establish your equity levels. So your loan to value ratios, establish how much equity is in there. So that, which sorts out the deposit side. The income side is good, you're on good income. And then from there we need to, same thing, get 2 recent pay slips, all your financials, get an upfront valuation for a second home buyer, establish the equity levels, and then see your borrowing capacity. At that point, we can help from there. So
Yeah, because I can see the market now is really good.
it is.
We just need to push to buy one more property, and then pretty much the rest is the tenant or the renter is going to pay the house actually.
Exactly.
As you mentioned before, if we need to pay 800 per week and the rental is 600, so we just only need to top up 200.
That's a good point.
$200 per week.
So we're estimating. Look, the mortgage is $800 a week roughly. We're seeing rentals for $650 online, 3x2, very apples comparison in Whitby. So we're expecting $150 difference. Let's go worst case scenario, $200 difference.
Yeah.
So $200 difference, 10 grand a year. You get 10 grand tax refund at the end of the financial year because you're negative gearing and you're accelerating depreciation components on your tax return because it's a new build. So that's what you sort of, and that will offset that cost, you know. So, and that's when you ride that equity train, you know, over the next few years. Yeah.
So every young generation, young kids can do that kind of scenario as well, can do that kind of strategy as long as the parents has a house with equity.
Yeah, you need a parent with their house half paid off.
Yeah, at least half paid off.
As a general rule, at least half paid off.
Yeah, because they require 20%, to avoid the LMI.
Yeah, when we package when we look at the loan, this might get technical, but when we look at your loan to value ratios, and we look at and we add another home, the loan to value ratios change.
Yeah.
To the point where it needs to be sort of under that 80% ideally. So it's about looking at your total assets, total liabilities, and your package point. We look at that, and then so long as it's under 80%, it's okay to go again.
So normally this is not person buyer, right? This is straight rental.
This is different because what you're doing is you're an investor straight away. So what you're doing is for the deposit, you need to do an investment. You need usually a 10 to 20% deposit, which would be $120,000, right?
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a 19-year-old.
19-year-old.
3 months to save, probably. So at that point, we've established that deposit. As an investor, you need ideally 20%, which the guarantor sorts that out, covers that. Then your intention is to rent it out so we can use that rental income to then establish your borrowing capacity, the amount the banks will lend, and then it works. Now, we have to pay stamp duty in the land up front. We don't get the grant because you're an investor. That's okay. The second property you purchase, you will get your grants. You will get your $10,000 grant and the exemption to stamp duty. If you move into the home, if your intentions change and you move into the home, let's say, you can, after six months, you can claim the first homeowner's grant of $10,000, and you get your stamp duty back that you paid upon settlement. So,
and then I just want to clarify about the LMI. So how much it's gonna cost if he need to pay? But obviously he's not going to pay LMI.
I forgot about that. On this sort of package, it's about $23,000, depending on the lender, give or take 3 to 4. So yeah. Consider yourself sort of saving around that 25 grand mark in lender's mortgage insurance.
That's big.
So you can go, thank you, Dad. Because if you have under a 20% deposit with the major lenders, you have to pay lender's mortgage insurance, and it's a 3.5% on average sort of cost per major lender. There's a few sort of government lenders that don't charge that if you qualify, but with the major lenders, you do need to pay a lender's mortgage insurance, which you have saved a lot for.
Oh, for sure.
So you needed the 120 grand deposit based on your income, and you saved about 25 grand lender's mortgage insurance. You saved about $145,000 of entry costs.
That is insane.
And stamp duty, he still need to pay stamp duty.
You need to, as an investor, because you'll be an investor, you have to pay stamp duty on the land only. So if you bought established, you pay stamp duty on the full amount, which is a lot more.
That's why. How much stamp duty?
I can calculate it, but it averages about 30 to 35 grand.
For the whole house and lot.
Yeah, for the established old house.
But for the land, for him, he just need to pay about
Stamp duty on the land component.
yeah.
So the land is 270,000. I have to calculate it, but it's under 10,000.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah, it's probably around 7,000. Like I have to check. You can check online. WA stamp duty calculator.
That's why better. I think that's better to build a house than buy a established one. Eh?
I think so. The key things are, it's repairs and maintenance. I've had a new home and an established home, and I was spending $300 to $400 a week on the established home. My broker goes, "Oh, that's cool. If you built a new home and put that $300 to $400 on there, you would pay it off in 15 years, not 30. So what are you interested in, Shae? Interested in paying off earlier or later?" So that's what made me think, because the established property, it's easy to spend 200, 300 a year. The gutters, the paving, the this, the that, the flooring, the kitchen, the stove tops, the whatever, like the roof, the insulation, yeah.
The maintenance thing. Eh?
It's a lot, yeah.
That's a lot of things to figure out. So you said this price. How much the price? 611,000.
Yeah, we're at 611,000
And then
for a 375 square metre lot.
yeah.
A good size 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home.
And that's to build. How many months to build?
How much to build? We're looking at
How many months?
to build time frame. Averaging 9 months, but 12-month build guarantee with a 12-month price hold period.
12 months. Yeah.
That's the most.
Can you explain that? What's 12 months?
It's very important to have a long price hold period, in my experience. I could go into a lot of detail of that, but the key thing is what is a price hold? A price hold is not the admin and construction, it's the admin phase. So to get that, when a builder locks their price, they are locking in their price, but you need to get through, you're locking into your price, but you need to get through pre-start, building permit, finance and settlement, and all that sort of stuff, okay? And your building contract. So you need to get through the admin phase. If you took some builders do 6 months. If you took 7 months to complete all that sort of stuff, which will happen because this doesn't title till December, so it's already 6 months. It's already 6 months. So if you have a short price hold period, they can legally charge with the Housing Industry Association under 5%. The 5% of the contract of the build contract value. 5% of this is running about 15 grand.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's about 15 grand, 16 grand. So they legally can charge you in month 5 when they try to recalc the margins, because they go, oh, in month 5, essentially we're not going to get to site by month 6. So we're going to recalc the margins, as in the true cost to the builder to maintain their margins. And they're going to, and at that point, if in an inflationary market, they're going to look at, oh, it's actually costing me, the builder, which is a true thing. It's a genuine thing. It's not it's not untrue. It's true.
It's true, yeah.
That is a true cost to them, right? So they'll charge you 16, 17 grand, but I've got builders that can do 12 months. So that's in the best interest of the clients. And I believe from what I can see here is that builders here are factoring in they're factoring in the inflationary environment and pricing it the price it would be in 12 months time.
So that's favorable for the customer, right? For the customer like us.
It is very favorable.
Because otherwise before they need to put extra money in there because on the 6 months there's a holding period. So when the market goes up again, when the materials goes up, so obviously you're gonna put another 5 or 10 grand in there.
Yeah. The problem is it's like a lot of it, a lot of clients are at their max borrowing capacity.
Yeah, that's true.
If you go up another 20 grand in contract value, you might not be able to service for it, even if you're happy to pay for it. So it might mean no house at all with a 6 month price hold. Because what happens if you can't service another 20,000? What happens if the banks don't let you go for another 20,000?
That's true.
So it's problematic. And then what do? You have to re-sign to a new house and land and start again for another 6 months.
That's not good.
So that's
Just pretty much the customer is gonna be really upset in that kind of scenario. So that one is very that one is a really good security for
Both parties.
yeah, for both parties as well.
it's very important. It's a little bit like if you bought a car, would you take out car insurance, comprehensive, or at least third party? You would, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure.
Because the risk outweigh the, you know. So that's the same thing with the 12-month price hold. You need a 12-month price hold, especially with these late title stuff. You know, because we're already going to be 6 months. Because you can't settle without the title. You know, so that's the key thing. If you went to a builder with a 6-month price hold, you're guaranteed to get 16 or 17 grand bill. So that's the importance of that.
That sounds pretty good.